Hello, how are you? In this session, we will discuss about the drama with password. Really, there is a big drama with password in SailPoint Identity Now or Identity Security Cloud, however you call it. Whereas in SailPoint Identity IQ, it's very simple. It's not that complicated or you know not much drama there for sure. Okay, so what is the requirement here? When an account is created for an employee, especially Active Directory, so whenever an access is granted for you to any application, so you need username and password so that you can log into that application and you do the work whatever, or why you need the access for that application. You have something to do with that application, right? When you talk about Active Directory, that is the account you need so that you can log into the organization network. That's the entry point, right? So it doesn't need to be Active Directory only, but most of the world uses Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory. Some organizations might be using some other directory, like there may be internal directory. Whichever it is, there will be a central directory where your username and password is stored. So you need to have an account there so that you can enter inside the organization network, right? So as part of onboarding process, whenever an employee join our organization, it's our responsibility, not just in SailPoint products, any IZA product you take or any IAM product you take. So when we create an account for them, a network account, nothing but Active Directory or any other directory, so it's our responsibility to notify the employee their credentials, so that the initial credentials, so that they can log into the organization network and start working for us. How it used to be in olden days. So once you join the organization during the induction, or maybe your colleagues will tell you the help desk number, you make a call. So while filling the onboarding forms, or you have to fill some data, right? So that the organization will start processing the offer letter formalities, right? So they do have some information about you. They do ask some security questions which you might have set up even, or they'll ask you some personal information about you to identify yourself. Once you are answered correctly, then they will tell you the password out loud, or they will ask you your mobile number maybe, and they can send you the text message immediately. Yeah, I have been used that uh, you know implementation in my career. So what is the disadvantage of this approach? Time consuming. Yeah, you have to make a call and wait for some time. Maybe your help desk is not available, or you are in queue. It can be any it can be anything that can delay your password, right? And additional cost as well, where you need to make a call. That's also a cost for the organization. I mean, not you, but to receive the call at the help desk side, and help desk infrastructure, including help desk resources as well. So here an automation is required with self-service. Back there in a couple of years, I to unlock my password or unlock my account, I needed to go to help desk, in person there. I was like, really, is this what we call it as digitalization? No. So we really need it as a self-service so that you can, reset your password or know your password with self-service functionalities. So what is the problem exactly here? Otherwise, we do not need to discuss about it this much, right? So in SailPoint, I don't know, password is encrypted, or even IdentityIQ, the password is encrypted. Due to security reasons, you cannot decrypt the password. Since SailPoint, I don't know, is a SaaS and I mean cloud offering, you cannot decrypt the password. It is not allowed. If you have already worked in SailPoint IdentityIQ as a developer, you do know that we do have. If not, it's okay. I will show you. So we do have something called context. That context is connected to the database, so you can decrypt the password or encrypt even if it is required. But here in I didn't know, as it is a SaaS platform, they didn't offer, you know, to decrypt the password. You don't know the password you generated while creating an account. So even if you don't know, how will you share the credentials to the newly joined employee? You cannot. I hope you got the problem, what we are dealing with. So how do we implement this? So while creating an account, especially Active Directory if you take, so we can use static password, right? Or even if it is not Active Directory, any application that is not integrated with single sign-on, so you need username and password to log into that organization, correct? So you need to know the password. How we can implement that? Since we cannot decrypt the password, so we can use a static password. While creating your AD account or any account, we can use a static password. This is used in some organizations. So since you know the password what you have used while creating account, so you can inform the same thing to the end user, right? The second approach is dynamic known password. You can use the format. Uh, so you can generate the password in a format. So you do know the password what you generated. Dynamic unknown password. You do not know which format even. So there is another way. Native rules is there. This is only applicable to Active Directory and Azure Active Directory. Other connectors, it is not applicable. Let's look into each approach. Static password. While creating an account, we can use the static password. If it is Active Directory, you can set password change on next logon. So we can force it when the user uses the static password. Since that password we also know that it's not a right way, right? Yeah, the end user password should not be known to anyone else. So since we know the password now, it is a static password. So we do set up or enforce a policy to Active Directory that it's an attribute. Change password on next logon. We can set it as yes, I mean true, false, something will be there. When you set up that, an end user enters the username and password, it will ask them to set up a new password. So we can use out of the box account to create notification. In IdentityNow, we can send an email notification to the user or user manager or some other help desk as well. So you need to add that notification or notification configuration to your source definition. So yeah, since it is a static password, whenever an account is getting created in this source, nothing but business application, you can hard code the password there in that email template. Out of the box email template in SailPoint, then that hard coded password is given to all the users. Simple approach. But it's not secured. Since it is a static password, this is not a good way. If somewhere it is compromised, if the hackers came to know that this will be the initial password, that might lead to a data breach even. Okay, so static password is not a good implementation, but it's easy, not secured. Dynamic known password. So as I stated already, we will generate the password in a format by taking data from employee record, like first two letters of first name or last two letters of last name, year of birth, you know, uh, or you can add a special text as well. You can change the text every month or so that no one knows what is the format exactly. You can change the format every month or every quarter like that. At least the special text what you are using, two, three characters, you know, that you can change every quarter maybe or every month, which is appending to the password. So password is combination of user information plus special text. So you can set the password change on next logon here as well, since we know the format. And of course it's good to set up this change password on next logon because we generated the password in a format, but end user might not like it. They want to set up their own password, right? So that's why it is good to have change password on next logon. Okay, so that user is forced to change the password on first login, but it's an optional for you guys. I would suggest to go for this. So again, here also we can use the account create notification. We can hard code the format. Uh, I mean the password format in the email template, so user itself can uh, you know calculate the password or generate the build the password. The correct word is building their password. So yeah, when I started my career, not exactly some organization, I cannot tell you that which organization exactly. So I don't think now they are using even. So they told us this will be the format of your password. So you need to build your own password. We built it and it did work. Of course, it will work. Next approach, dynamic unknown password. So in SailPoint, we do have password policies. A policy defines how many characters, total length of the password, you know, how many alphabets, how many numeric digits, how many capital letters, how many small letters, um, how many special characters. All those things you can set up in the password policy. So you can share the password reset link. Um, this is done using password manager, which is additional license module in SailPoint IdentityNow. So you need to have that license. So password manager, you can share the link. User can, reset the password. But if it is Active Directory, user itself not logged into the organization network, right? They cannot get into this password reset because after logging to SailPoint only, if it is single sign-on enabled, so you need to pass through Active Directory or Azure Active Directory, whatever it is, right? Your credential. So you have to get inside the network. You are not yet there because this is AD password, the first initial password, I mean, right? Then this is not applicable. You cannot use the password reset link. Instead, you can use native rule. In SailPoint for AD and Azure AD, we have native rules like connector after create, connector after modify, connector after delete. Similarly for before as well, connector before create, connector before modify, connector before delete. Total 6 rules are there. So here, since we are creating AD account, you can use connector after create rule. That can be useful for you. Since this is not password reset link, is uh, it's suitable for other applications, not for Active Directory. Okay, so for other applications, you do not need to worry about what password you set up or what is the format of the password. How do I know the password so that I can inform users? You do not need to worry about it because you have the password reset link. That link you can, share with the end user. Okay, if it is AD, they are not in the network yet. They cannot get inside password reset link, right? Password management functionality of SailPoint. No, they can't. So if it is for AD, then yeah, we can use native rules. So what is this native rules? So you create an account, Active Directory account with or without password. So it's not mandatory to set a password while creating AD account, not mandatory. Again, that depends on how your organization has set up the policy for AD. If they say it as password is mandatory, then yeah, you have to follow that. So this Active Directory that can trigger the native rules, which is nothing but it has a PowerShell script. So once an AD account is created, it will trigger the PowerShell script that will be inside IQ service. This native rules will be executed in IQ service. What is IQ service? It's a Windows agent that is required for, uh, you know, test connection and provisioning activities on Microsoft applications between SailPoint and Microsoft application like Active Directory. Okay, it's a Windows agent. So in that IQ service, this PowerShell script will be executed. So then the script, what you can do, you can generate the password. Or if you already set up the password while creating AD account, that's okay. You can regenerate the password, whatever it is, randomly. And you can set that same password to user AD account, which is created just now. Yeah, you can use the command set AD password command, and you can set up the password for that user. And then you can notify the user through a medium. All right, now you know the password methodologies, how you can implement in SailPoint. I don't know. Whatever the approach you have taken, now you need to notify the password to the end user. Okay, password reset link approach is not going to work if it is Active Directory. If it is not Active Directory, then yeah, that's a good approach. If you have password manager in your organization. Okay, so if you do not have password manager, then you cannot use password reset approach, right? Then you have to use some way to notify the end user. Okay, so in case if you choose other than password reset link, then you have to know the password what you have set up. That password has to be notified to the end user. So how do you notify that? Okay, so user is not logged into the organization yet, right? If it is Active Directory, how can they check their mail for username and password? They cannot. right? So in case if it is not an Active Directory, some other application, then yeah, no problem. They are already inside the organization network. You can send it to their email, right? So what are the ways of, are a best channel to notify the credentials? So you can send it to user personal email like Gmail or any personal email that employee has given while filling the onboarding forms. User supervisor's work email. So you can send it to the employee's supervisor, or also we call it as manager. Or you can send it as an SMS to the user mobile number, or even you can send it to the manager also, no problem. So if you take user personal email as a security professional in this industry for more than a decade, I would say it's not a good option. Why? What is the guarantee that end user's email is not compromised? We don't know. We cannot guarantee that even. So it's not about the password is not end users. We are giving access to our organization assets, resources. It's not just end user's password. It has to be secured. Otherwise, your organization resources are under risk. So this is not a good approach at all. We cannot trust user personal email. Supervisor work email, this is the best option. Since we are sharing it to our organization email, it is safe. So it's supervisor's responsibility to share the initial credentials safely to the end user. This I will recommend. SMS to user phone. Yeah, better than sharing it to the personal mail of the user. You might say like, yeah, why to share it to the manager? Manager has to share it to the end user. It might be time consuming as well, or additional burden or responsibility for the manager. Yeah, I agree with you on that as well. So if you want to notify to the user only, instead of user personal email, it's better to go with user personal phone. So as a text message, you can notify the end user. This is better, I would say, compared to the email. So, but yeah, even here also there is no guarantee that user phone is compromised. We do not know that. But phone is uh, what about identity IQ? So password is encrypted in SailPoint identity IQ as well, which can be decrypted. So we do have uh, a variable called context, not a variable exactly, it's an object, context. So if you are a Java developer, you know what is context. Servlet context, that's where this came from. So context where the database connection is already established. So you can use this context to decrypt the password. So for every source, we have after provisioning rule in IdentityIQ, before provisioning rule and after provisioning rule. In IdentityNow, we do not have after provisioning rule. So in IdentityIQ, since you have after provisioning rule, you can see the password what it is used. Basically you have provisioning plan. In the account request, you will have password whatever you set up. Provisioning plan contains account request. Account request contains all the attribute requests that are used to set up your AD account or any account. So their password will be there in encrypted format. You can decrypt it. Context.decrypt. Simple. Um, Alternatively, if you do not want to use after provisioning rule, you can use LCM workflow or joiner workflow even. So basically, joiner workflow will trigger and it will create an AD account, and there you can notify the end user. Like already we discussed what are the notifications or what are the channels for notification. You can use them and you can decrypt the password and you can notify them. So it's very simple. Context.decrypt and then pass the encrypted password as a parameter to that method. It will give you decrypted password. So in conclusion, what I would say is dynamic unknown password is best. Okay, so if it is not an AD application, then you can share the password reset link to the users. If it is AD, then you can email it to user supervisor. That's very good way, because supervisor, not a lot of people will join on the same day. right? Only couple will be, joining. A one or two person will be joining. So supervisor, I don't think it's that much burden to share the password. If you do not have password management feature, then use dynamic known password. Nothing but password format. For non-AD application, if it is single sign-on enabled, then you do not need to handle this at all. If it is single sign-on not implemented, or if you do not have SSO in your organization, then you have to notify the credentials. Okay, so best way is password reset link. If you do not have password manager, then go with maybe a password format. Okay, so if it is AD, then make use of native rules to regenerate the password and send it to users manager. That would be the best, I would say. So that's about how you can handle the password in SailPoint. I don't know. Since we cannot decrypt it, yeah, this much drama is there with this, and we need to handle it. And it is mandatory and it is common in every organization.